Hi guys, Korean movie recapped here. Before we start, warning. Spoilers ahead. Today, I'm going to recap a 2017 Korean history drama movie called A Taxi Driver. This movie is based on a true story of a mysterious Seoul taxi driver who helped a foreign journalist in exposing the cruelty of South Korea's military towards the people in handling the Gwangju Uprising in 1980. At that time, the military abused their power to handle the student protesters who wanted to stop the authoritarian Chun Doo-hwan regime. So, let's find out. Kim is a Seoul taxi driver in the 1980s when students go down the streets to protest the authoritarian Chun Doo-hwan regime and are often arrested by the military. Due to that, he often gets jammed in traffic and even experiences accidents. In addition, he keeps on losing customers as martial law and curfews take place. However, he doesn't give up and keeps on expanding his knowledge, especially regarding alternative routes. Kim as a single parent does this every day in order to humbly provide for his only daughter. Despite the lack of affection, his daughter understands the situation and loves Kim very much. On the other hand, Peter is a German journalist who specializes in post-war broadcasting services. He hears from the other reporters that South Korea's riot has worsened. So, he rushes to the country and disguises himself as a missionary for the church to gain entry. He immediately meets a local reporter in Seoul to get a grasp of the condition. To his surprise, there is a certain city in the country called Gwangju, which experiences the worst martial law. No one outside Gwangju knows about the condition inside, as all of the access has been cut off. Even the government censors the whole page of the local newspaper to hide the truth. Hearing this, Peter is encouraged to get into the city and expose the lie. Meanwhile, Kim is treated to lunch by his friend. Suddenly, he hears from another driver that a foreigner is looking for a taxi driver to get him to Gwangju for 100,000 Korean won. Attracted by the money, Kim rushes to the meeting point to pick up the foreigner who is in fact Peter, the German journalist. He assumes the other driver's identity and presents himself to Peter. Despite Kim's mediocre English, Peter accepts him. Unbeknownst to Kim, he is about to enter one of the most dangerous cities in South Korea. Upon entering Gwangju, Kim and Peter are confronted by the military. Kim immediately turns back and goes back to Seoul, as he hasn't been briefed about the city's condition. Peter threatens to not pay him unless they get into Gwangju today, so Kim reluctantly looks for an alternative route into the city and drives through. Despite his effort, the military confront them once more. Fortunately, Peter poses himself as an important businessman and they manage to convince the military to let them pass. Inside Gwangju, Kim asks for an advance payment and Peter pays him half of the agreed amount. They go down the seemingly abandoned city and meet the student protesters. Luckily, a student named Jessica is fluent in English. The students cheer and shout as Peter may be able to help them in exposing the military regime. They also appreciate Kim, who has endangered himself to get Peter into the city. Then, Peter and the students plan to go to the hospital. However, Kim doesn't want to endanger his car in the riot, so he makes a U-turn and plans to leave Peter. On the way, a granny begs him to take her to the hospital to look for her son. She is afraid of her son's condition as the soldiers have been injuring and even killing protesters for the past days. In the busy hospital, it is seen that the reporters and the local taxi drivers don't get along, as the reporters can't expose any of the military's genocide. On the other hand, the taxi drivers usually help the injured protesters and even damage their cars in the process. Kim and Granny get into the hospital to find that the rooms are full of injured and deceased protesters. Luckily, Granny's son is safe. Kim is confronted by Peter and Jessica for leaving them earlier. In addition, he is also accused of stealing Peter's equipment which were left in his car's back seat. Kim tries to talk his way out, but the local drivers and students don't accept his argument. So, he returns the advance payment to Peter and promises to accompany him until the end. In the gas station, Kim is surprised to receive free gas. Jessica explains that taxi drivers are considered heroes for transporting injured protesters to the hospital, some of them even got arrested for doing so. After hearing this, Kim starts to see the condition and empathizes with the protesters and citizens of Gwangju. He is even warmly welcomed by the people for bringing Peter into the city. The people make way for him, applaud them, and even give them homemade food. Then, the three of them go to a rooftop to get holistic footage of the riot. There, they befriend a local reporter. The reporter warns them that a foreign journalist is not welcomed and will be hunted down by the military. Not only Peter, but also Kim and Jessica are in danger too. On the ground, the people and the military start to clash. A lot of people are hit and even ganged up by the force, regardless of their age and gender. Soldiers drag injured protesters to finish them off later. Peter and Jessica go downstairs to get better footage and help the injured despite the local reporter's warning. As the condition gets worse, Kim tries to save Peter, but he lashes out at him for trying to stop him. Unbeknownst to him, the military have disguised themselves as civilians and set their eyes on Peter. Luckily, they manage to get away safely. At night, Kim and Peter plan to get back to Seoul. Before separating, Peter assures Jessica that the world will see the atrocities done in Gwangju. However, Kim's taxi breaks down and they have to spend the night there while it is being repaired. Kim is concerned for his daughter's safety and gets anxious. Unfortunately, he can't make a call to his daughter as the connection lines in the city have been cut off by the military. Due to the language barrier, Peter thinks that Kim is anxious about the repair cost, so he insensitively pulls out his wallet. Kim blames the situation on Peter and they get into a fight. After some time, Kim gives in and accepts the fate. Meanwhile, the military have identified Peter and plan to capture him and Kim. Back to the trio, they spend the night with a local taxi driver, Hwang, and his family. They are welcomed by warm supper and laugh together. On the other side, the local reporters are secretly printing exposing news to support the riot. Suddenly, the rest of the workers and the management break in to stop them, as such an act will endanger the company and themselves. Not only the papers, the military have also taken control of the television news. This time, the channel underestimates the number of student victims and exaggerates the military's fallen officers. In addition, they also say that the students have invited gangsters from Seoul to spread false rumors regarding the government. Not long after, the false news results in the rioters wreaking havoc in the TV station. Suddenly, the military comes and immediately chases after the trio. They hastily run to an abandoned building. Unfortunately, one of Peter's film rolls falls off and Jessica volunteers to grab it. Downstairs, the military have waited for him and they capture him. They take Jessica hostage and ask for Peter to hand over the camera and the rolls. Kim wants to save Jessica, but Jessica sacrifices himself instead. He shouts in English, saying that Peter should save the footage and himself to unveil the truth to the world. Peter and Kim abandon Jessica and flee from there with a heavy heart. In a dark alley, Kim sees the soldiers torturing the injured rioters. One of the pursuers corners Kim and confronts him. They get into a fight, but Kim is defeated immediately. Luckily, Peter comes to his aid. The next day, Kim leaves early to go back to his daughter. To his surprise, Hwang sees him off with an open heart. He gives him a secret route and a new car plate to avoid the military. In addition, Peter has also left the full payment for Kim. Kim apologizes for leaving the Gwangju people to their fight alone and leaves. Then, he stops at a nearby city to repair his car. He immediately calls her daughter and apologizes to her. Luckily, his daughter is safe with his landlord's family. Then, he goes to a market to buy some souvenirs for her. Upon eating breakfast, he hears and reads false rumors regarding the Gwangju riots, just as the military wanted. In addition, he is also reminded of the Gwangju locals' kindness and can't shake off his empathy towards them. He follows his heart and calls his daughter once more to apologize, as he will endanger himself again. He rushes to Hwang's home to find that he is in the hospital. As he walks through the hospital's corridor, he realizes that the condition has gravely worsened. Furthermore, Jessica is found dead in a rice field after being dragged off by the military. Can't bear it, he encourages Peter to rise up and tell the world about the abomination. Kim manages to convince Peter to pick up his camera once more to film all of it. Suddenly, one of Hwang's friends comes and informs them that the troops are shooting at the people who are celebrating a major holiday. They rush to the place to find that the soldiers have barricaded the streets and the confrontation has turned into a one-sided massacre. The soldiers even shoot at the people who are trying to save the injured. Some students wave a white flag, but they are also shot to death, followed by another shootout at the injured to annihilate the rioters. Hwang, Kim, and the local taxi drivers decide to drive their taxi in to save the injured. Some of the drivers even deliberately drive towards the soldiers to hinder their sight. The others crawl to save the injured while being shot at. When they are cornered, a student drives a truck to make a barricade. Seeing the chance, the people swarm the street to save the injured. Some of the injured are saved, but the soldiers march through and shoot at the people, resulting in more casualties. Peter even can't bear the scene, but has to film it all to uncover the horror. Kim and the others are safe, but their hearts are shattered after witnessing it all. After being reminded of their duty, Kim and Peter rush to leave the city with the military on their tail. Once more, Kim hesitates to leave the people, but he strengthens his heart this time. Upon exiting the city, all of the secret accesses have been barricaded. Peter hides his camera and they disguise themselves once more, but the soldiers don't believe them. A sergeant checks his car and finds Kim's old car plate, but he stays silent and lets them pass through, as he is also conflicted by the massacre. Unfortunately, the other soldiers realize their true identity and shoot at them. In addition, 4 cars full of personnel chase after them and pinch them. When all hope seems lost, Hwang and the taxi drivers come to their rescue. They hinder the military and put a distance between Kim and them. Despite being shot at, they prioritize Kim and Peter's safety. One by one, the taxi drivers get into accidents and are annihilated. After some time, Hwang lets the 2 go and drives backward to ram himself into the pursuing cars. In the end, Kim and Peter manage to get out at the sacrifice of the innocent lives of Gwangju. In the airport, Peter outsmarts the security once more by booking 2 flights under his name to divert their attention. He hides his film rolls in metal containers. Lastly, he asks for Kim's full name to fully repay him once he has published his recordings. However, Kim doesn't want it and gives him a fake name instead. They hug to their unexplainable bond and say their final goodbye. Kim comes home to his only daughter who has been waiting for him. After some time, the footage finally hit the global news and a lot of pressure are pointed towards the South Korean government. Some years have passed, and Peter has received human rights awards for his publication. However, he presents it all to Kim, whom he can't meet even after looking for years. Subscribe to watch more videos like this, turn on notifications, and leave a like and comment to help the channel out. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.